So the third part of this functions and operations of functions and composition is decomposition. And so we need to know how we got to where we were. What you take a guess and see what the two original functions might have been. And this is just you making some guesswork, thinking outside the box maybe. It's not a super difficult task to undertake, but it's okay to feel like, hey, I'm having a little problem with this, but there are a couple of ways to do this. And I'm just going to go through this example right here. I'm going to blow it up a little bit. Just give me one quick second to blow it up and get down to it. And they say, the textbook says, don't cheat and make one f of x and then the other one this function itself. It says don't cheat. Try and think of a way that you could put something in and get this out. Now, there are a couple of things we could do. We know that we had to input something for x to get here, right? And so I'm sort of looking at it, there's no x squared, there's no kind of fancy stuff here. Maybe I could just, maybe this minus 1 out here, because we wouldn't have a 6 and a minus 1 in a function itself. So if I see something extraneous hanging out here, oh, well, that must have been part of the original function. And then I'll look inside here. Now, if there is a factor, a common factor, I can probably pull that out if I want to. Or you could just say, this is what I input for x, because you know that there is a parent function. We could say f of x was, let's say, the square root of x minus 1, just like that. And then we input that for x, right? And then we could have said g of x was 2x minus 6. And that would be fine. That's a valid answer. But if we wanted to, try another one, I would factor out that 2 and I'd say, okay, well maybe f of x was the square root of 2x, right? And then I factored out the 2 minus 1, right? Remember that minus 1 outside the square root symbol. And then g of x would have been, you factor out the 2, you get x minus 3, and it could have been x minus 3. So there are the two ways that you could have gotten there. I don't think there are any other really cool ways you could have gotten there. But that's decomposition. Not a very difficult thing, but it is time consuming because you have to think about, okay, where is that function and what would we have seen in here originally, and just doing some thinking about those parent functions and what we would have had in an original function. It's not going to be so earth-shattering that it will be too difficult for you to do. Other than that, your practice problems should be pretty good. And that's about it. I mean, there's another one of those, if I can get over there. How do you get 3x plus 3 down here? And you can see that you can pull a 3 out. And I'm thinking of that parent function of 1 over x, right? The reciprocal parent function. And I could do that. I could say, okay, well, there are two ways to think of it. I can think of it as f of x being that parent function of 1 over x, or I see that I have a 3 that I can factor out. So I could say, or I could say that the original function was 1 over 3x, okay? And then for this one, all I would have to do is write g of x had to have been 3x plus 3. That's what we input there, right? Well, over here I would say, hey, look, if I had 3 there and I factored out my 3, this would have had to have been x plus 1. Other than that, the factoring piece is relatively simple. The decomposition piece is relatively simple. I think you could handle it. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit because I want to see what we've got here in terms of a word problem. All right, and I'm going to read it for you, and then we're going to think about it. Just think about it. We're not going to do any work, we're just going to think about it. Because we're going to talk about reading these problems and seeing if we can make functions out of this stuff. And it's pretty simple, okay? A group of 3 restaurant patrons order the same meal and drink and leave an 18% tip. Determine the functions that represent the cost of all the meals before tip, the cost of one patron's meal with tip, and the composition of the two functions gives the cost for all the meals, including a tip. So you're going to have to create a function, and just think of it this way. You're going to create a function, okay? So there's a function that says meal and drink, okay? And we want to talk about the meals before tip. So our first function is just meals, right? And it's 3 of them, right? So 3 meals, right? And our next function is a meal plus, so this would be the cost of the meals, right? And the tip is actually, right? It's 0.18 m, right? And so we have a little problem here because, it gives the cost for all the meals, including tips, the cost of the one patron's meal, m plus 18% of m, right? And so I got nervous there. I thought maybe I messed up. We do know that 0.18 is 18%. And really, that's all we're going to do. And then if we want to say what is it going to cost for everybody, all 3 meals, including tip, all we're going to do is make m as a function of t, and then here we go. So we're going to say it's 3 meals, right? But instead of meals, we're going to do meal and tip. So 3m plus 18% of m, and then do the math. And so let's do the math. It's going to equal 3m plus 0.4, right? 44? No, 54. Sorry. 0.54. I beg your pardon. 0.54 m, right? 18 times 3 is 54. Every day I'm going to turn this on. 18 times 3 equals 54. Great. And we don't even need to know how much the cost is. We just need to know that this is equal to M composite T, right? We put T inside it. Good? That's it. You don't even have to write it really cool, because I didn't write it really cool, did I? That's about it. I could have said cost for meal and drink, and then I could have said, tip as a function of percentage or something of the sort. Didn't have to, right? You understand the idea, you understand the concept, and there you've done the work. Look, I've done some of your work for you. Don't look that gift horse in the mouth. It's not going to happen every day. I could have cheated and done something different, but it's a different concept, and I want you guys to get on top of it. There's the answer. If you have any questions, as always, get a hold of me. Thanks for watching.